Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk Arsenal. This is your host Dushyant. You can find me at Dushyant AFC, and with me is Bob from the Away Gunners. Hey Bob, welcome to the channel.
How are you going, buddy? How are you going?
I'm
Pleasure
doing
to
good. I'm doing good. I hope you're doing good as well. And
totally.
uh, th- and thank you for joining me, and thank you for taking your time. And today we are going to discuss the weekend's blockbuster match, the old rivalry that reignited, and it ended finally. Arsenal 3, United 2. What a match it was! I mean, people were going that it was a close match, but in my opinion, like watching it, it looked like close. But if you see the sheets and all, the disparity was quite, a big margin. But tell me how you were like feeling pre-match before the match started, and how you were feeling like after the match ended. So, yeah.
Yes, buddy, first of all, pleasure to be here and talking this wonderful match with you. Definitely an opportunity that I didn't want to miss. So yeah, thank you first of all for inviting me. But then to talk about the match first, I mean, I think like every other Arsenal fan, I had my nerves before the game because obviously United are as well bouncing back into form. They were actually on a 10 game or a 9 game winning run until they were stopped by Crystal Palace narrowly in the injury time. So they were actually coming off a decent form, and it was quite evident with the way that they were playing in the game. But then, if I look at my nervousness that I had, and then the post match reactions, I mean, although the result says, or many of these uh, pundit says, it's a close game, I felt that we had a very clear edge in the game, and we completely spanked them all over the park is what I was going to say. um you could talk more in when we talk about the goals in terms of how they played and all those sort of things, but then in the end, one thing that is clearly evident, this team is not looking to settle for draws and all those sort of things. From what we've seen in the past, they want to really go for that win. They want that 3 points. They want to be on the top of the table. Such is the attitude, and they kept pushing as well. They didn't really take their foot off the pedal, and they kept pushing all along, and it was a very sweet victory. I think this victory is pretty important, pretty significant, because they were all talking about how United is on the rise, and then United could actually beat any opponent on their day and all those sort of things. And then having taught a lesson is the best result that we could have hoped for.
Yeah, totally. And talking about that pushing and not laying down, and even like I guess it was Zinchenko that said, or someone said that we are not a lay down team, right? We will fight back and we will, take that result and go for a victory, not for a draw. And you can see the second half as well. Like Manchester United were the team that were trying to go for a draw when they brought on, Fred in place of Anthony in the 70th mark. And even you can see that David De Gea, practicing going down. I don't know what he was doing, but
Yeah.
I think he was just trying to waste his time. I hope he gets well soon and he gets looked at that shoulder injury that was, troubling him so much at the end. But that was so hilarious to see. And, even Bruno Fernandes in the first half looking for a
Penalty.
plenty that
Yes.
didn't existed. I mean, I don't understand why he wasn't given a yellow card there by a referee. But aside from that, speaking of the pushing on and not as you said, the Emirates Stadium. Wow, what a response back! Like when Rashford scored the first goal. Let's talk about the goals now. So United were the first one that scored the goal, right? But it was the Emirates Stadium that like pushed on to the players and the noise that they were making. Like as compared to the previous years, like I've been watching Arsenal for so long, and you have been watching Arsenal for so long as well, right? So previously it was more like groans and moaning and not more support. But in here, even watching on TV, right, it was a different kind of atmosphere in the ground when the ball went in. And but the support, what it means to be supporter, to support the opposite, the home team or the home crowd or the Arsenal players, right? So seeing that made me really like proud and supportive, and get into that act. I guess that also really helps. So I want to get your reaction as to how
Yeah.
much. like home support has helped us this season and especially this game.
Yes, sure. So I mean, just like what you had mentioned, right, Dushyant, because there's been I've been to the Emirates myself. I've been a season ticket holder. This is about I'm talking about 10 years, 11 years back almost. So I've been to a lot of home games. I know I used to see how the crowd responds when we are actually down by a goal or something like that. Most often than not, then if we were to show our displeasure to the players, the crowd generally boos, or it actually becomes quiet. Emirates has most likely seen, even during the banter area, you would have seen that the crowd would completely be silent, and that would actually put more pressure on the players. But these years, I mean, not just this season. I wouldn't want to really start from this season. This trend started from last season itself, that we've seen
Hmm.
the games
Totally,
that
totally.
are still losing. Especially the game against Crystal Palace. If I could clearly remember, we were 2-1 down, and like I said, went on to score an injury time equalizer. Although that was just an
Mhm.
equalizer, the crowd behind the whole thing, in making sure that they support and get behind the team. That's something which we've been starting to see, right, since many of them started believing into what Arteta is trying to do. I think it's more and more getting vocal, and that's pretty much helping the team. So if you just look at the goal that Rashford scored immediately after
Mhm.
that, all the Arsenal players who were standing in front of Ramsdale, they were all trying to rile up the whole crowd. They know that they
Mhm.
just need the attention from the crowd, and they need to sort of them to be the 12th man for them to push along from where they were. And
Mhm.
that was quite that was the turning point of this whole thing, I would say, because obviously, our players, all of them played well. They didn't do anything really wrong or something like that, in getting cards and all those sort of things. But then the crowd was completely behind the team, even when they
Yeah.
conceded the goal, even when they did the second, I mean, they considered the second goal. Every time, every touch of the ball was actually greeted, and every move to the opposition box was actually cheered loudly on. And seriously, if we were to give a man of the match, the crowd definitely deserves, not just for this
Mhm.
game, for every home game so far.
Yeah.
Totally.
Now the Emirates is turning to be fortress, and I'm really loving the crowd and the chants, and the new wallpapers that is are going on to the stadium. They look absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to see them fully installed and ready and ready to go. But let's move on to the first goal. Obviously, I say your defense is in trouble and Nketiah in the room. I hope everyone has listened to that song. It's so catchy. It's like stuck in my brain right now. And the first goal was so essential, right? And that assist that Granit Xhaka gave, that was like pinpoint accurate. And like Eddie Nketiah, he knows what to do, right? He knows how to make the run and score that header. And if you see some images, I hope you have seen that. Let me find, like, Arteta and Steven Berg were like jumping alongside Eddie Nketiah when he finished that first goal. So let me see if I can find that image. But it was really funny and really interesting to see that. But tell me
So
how
I
you.
think it was a long time coming, isn't it? Say,
Yeah, yeah.
we were actually creating the pressure. We didn't actually, put ourselves down from the moment that we conceded the goal, but rather
Mhm.
we used it as a motivation for us to actually do more. And Eddie was just knocking at the door. I mean, it was just coming since a long time.
Mhm.
It was very sweet because that was actually his first goal against United. There were, man, I think this the character that the boy is actually showing in every game is truly remarkable. I mean, I remember the Chelsea game from last year where he actually bounced on, and then there is no turning back. People, I mean, most of the
Mhm.
plaudits completely brushed Arsenal aside, when they said, possibly the fact that Gabriel Jesus is injured and there is no way around for Arsenal to actually maintain at the top of the table. But now look what has happened. I mean, the
Mhm.
manager, credit to Arteta. I mean, even this is
Right.
going back to the start of the season, for offering a new deal. And the number 14 jersey, how significant it is at Arsenal for him to be given that, and then for Eddie to come out and prove every time and again
Mm.
is something really special of that kid. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
this is the
first
airport,
goal.
Albert,
Mm.
and yeah, totally.
Arteta.
And just want to take this moment
Yeah.
to credit
Mm.
Nicholas Jower as well, who's our set piece
Yeah.
coach. He's been working on this, and I mean, Arsenal traditionally are a team who don't really rely upon set pieces to score goals, but then for us to be, one of the best set piece conversions is completely, it's a massive turnaround, I would say.
Mm.
And we've gone from strength to strength. This is not something which got developed overnight. This has been something which we're working on every training, just like how the manager said, we've been working on training by training. We're working on the our strength and the opponent's weakness and all those sort of things. Van Bissaka just went sleeping for a second, and it was
Yeah.
beautiful for Eddie to actually run around him, jump ahead of him, and then score that goal. Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Wonderful. It was like the perfect instinct of a striker, as you say. If you remember previously, like the number 14 shirt guy, Thierry Henry, also scored a header in a, last time in at the Emirates. I think it was quite a similar goal that he scored via header. I think I saw that a picture of like Henry was scoring a header against United, and now Eddie Nketiah, wearing the 14 number shirt. It's like something is happening here, and I'm truly starting to believe now. I know it's just halfway now that we have completed halfway, but there are still plenty of games to go. But I'm starting to believe now. I hope that's the case with you as well. Like you're
Totally,
starting to
buddy.
believe.
I think, see, I've watched Arsenal through thick and thin.
Yeah.
I've been, watching Arsenal since mid 90s, to a
Mhm.
point where I can say, even without looking at, the score or anything, with the team that I can look at, I know that they are capable of beating anyone on the trot on the day. So that was how Arsenal was strong of. And then came the Emirates era. There's been I mean, Project Youth and all those sort of things happened, and then came the end of Wenger years, and then the banter era. It's completely, it's complete wave. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but then one thing that has been struck with me right since the time that I started watching the foot, Arsenal, and to the time that I'm seeing now. No matter whatever happens, I'll be sticking behind the team, even if we are
Mm.
going to be fighting relegation. That's how it has to be. That's how
Yeah, yeah,
everyone has to be, right? You can't
yeah.
be supporting the team that
Mhm.
they are in front and not support the team when they are not actually in Europe. You have to be supporting no matter what. That's what it is about.
Yeah. So let's get into some stats. I've got like from Opta Analyst, right? So you can see here even. Let me see if I can, yeah, mm, yeah, here. So maybe this will help more. Maybe you can see like the attacking threat you can see here is like from our Arsenal attacking threat both in the first half and second half is more on the side of like Arsenal,
Totally.
like all the way it's Arsenal only. And even the goal scored by United, like there is barely anything that United did. Speaking in terms of attacking threat or stats, if you go deep into that, right? So the similar kind of a thing is if you see the waves, the minute by minute mark, right? Or even if you see this kind of a threat, right? Like we had three goals, we made 2.9 xg, so like that's expected goals.
Yeah.
25 shots on like we had two there, six shots. So see the difference that you can see, like I was telling you about earlier as well. If you see in depth, in detail, the stats,
Yeah.
we are like,
Yes, so that's why I said, we didn't just beat them, we just spanked them. That
yeah.
was not just a fluke result, as what many say.
Mhm. And even if you see like attacking sequence involvement, right? So Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Martinelli, Zinchenko were like the top three or four players, and Granit Xhaka, right? So these were the top five players that were involved much of the game, right? So I want to shift towards the second goal, and obviously the topmost, as you saw, Bukayo Saka, that second goal, making fun of the celebration of taking the Mickey out of Marcus Rashford, telling him you can't come to the Emirates stadiums and do that celebration in front of me, because as Saka is taking this personally now, because he's telling Rashford as well that I am the guy, I'm the man. You can't come into my house and do all this kind of stuff, because I'm taking this team. And that shot, that goal reminded me of Aryan Robben. Don't take me personally, I'm not trying to compare them right
No,
now, but that definitely looked like a Aryan Robben finish. What's your take on that second goal?
that goal was out of world, man. Seriously, Ericsson was trying to cover him, but then he
Yeah.
had no bloody chance, and nobody really had a chance. They were just all ball watching. I was just looking
Mhm.
at the replays and all those sort of things. So if you look at Martinez, he was having his hands behind his back, and then
Hmm.
he was just standing like a rock. And even before De Gea could realize what's happening, the ball was in the net. Like
Yep.
nobody really had any clue that he is going to cut in and then hit the chart, take the chart. It was perfectly executed, perfectly. He had a very clear plan in terms of where he's going to hit, and it went perfectly in. I was just gutted, not for the second time when he hit to that chart. If it had gone in, that would have been an exact replica of the first goal,
Yeah.
like Saka's goal, again scored by him from a similar position, from a similar point, and everybody were exactly standing in the same place as they were. So nobody really thought that Saka would actually cut in and then do the score. And that's what is Saka all about. Saka is the best. I can't really compare.
I mean, the opposition are going around and saying that Saka isn't the best right wing in the Premier League. Like, name me three right wingers currently on form that are more threatening than him. You can't name anyone right now as of present in this season. Even not even like Phil Foden is not there. Mo Salah has had a poor season for Liverpool. Maybe Mahrez comes into that category, but he doesn't play constantly for them. So like Bukayo Saka is the only one right now. If you had to name like the best right winger in the Premier League, so that's the bottom line
Totally,
for me.
totally. I
And
think I think
like
that goes without
people are
saying.
asking for the even the Premier League team of the season, right? So in my opinion, if I had to select anyone on the right wing, I will select Bukayo Saka.
That's right, and that's not because we follow Arsenal, right?
Right, right.
That's just neutral's opinion alike as well. So every friend or other podcasters that I know who support other teams, they really like Saka, and who else cannot, right? Look at his skill, man. Seriously, for a 20-year-old who had actually just missed the penalty in the Euro final, who was completely criticized, mocked, and all those sort of things, having to come back last year and then having just picked up form and then take it to the next level is just enormous. He joins the elite company of Freddie and Thierry
Thierry
Henry,
Henry. And
and so
did you see the last interview
I
when
did,
they
I
asked
did.
him and he said, "Hi Theory, hi Freddy." It was so
Yes.
hilarious.
No, I'm
But
I'm pretty sure, if he continues this form,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
going to break the records, and then he probably could actually score the next goal as well. So yeah, you're gonna show it. Come on,
yeah, yeah. So I hope Arsenal
look at
don't
look at
clock him for
Ericsson.
it. But oh, wow, yeah, this
Look at
is so epic. Like seeing it back in action. Oh, see the celebration that that's there. Oh my, this was pretty special, man. Someone also did like the showed the another way, like the supporters way view of the goal, and that was like epic seeing. Right, we are seeing it from the TV, and the supporters end looks absolutely more crazier and more real in terms of how the goal scored. But yeah, That goal, in my opinion, was better than the Rashford one. But that is more of a biased Arsenal in me talking. But
See,
that was special.
that goal is still better, and I would agree with you because he was not, nobody thought that he would actually go on to score that. He was on the wing, and then he suddenly came inside, and then it just, that was a curler as well. So that was not
Yeah,
something which something like what Rashford did, which was standing in front of the goal and just hitting it. I'm not undermining Rashford's
yeah,
goal;
yeah,
it's still good. I definitely did like it. I mean, not from an Arsenal perspective, but then as a general football fan, I really like the way Rashford took his chance. But
hmm,
then Saka's goal was something special, totally
hmm.
special.
Okay, so let's shift towards the second goal that United scored. I think it was more of a Aaron Ramsdale error. I hope you can agree with that. But you know, as you can say, it was like the shortest guy on the pitch scoring a header. It was really funny, but it also was like, come on, Ramsdale, you can do better, because we know that the type of goalkeeper he is, and he's okay on the crosses. He does struggles a bit, but this was a error, Ramsdale error. Even though he's like saved us. Remember that Rashford, came and literally scored, but that was an excellent shot stopped
Yes,
by
I was
the
going to
deflection.
mention this and say, see, goalkeepers sometimes have some off days. Thankfully,
Hmm.
it didn't come back to bite us. I was just going to point out those two saves that he did. First was the shot from McTominay that he saved. That was actually a reaction save, to actually send it to the corner. That was one of those saves which was pretty important, especially when the game was at 1-1. That was the McTominay shot. But then the second one, right? The all important save from Ramsdale. Sorry, yeah, the save by Ramsdale from Rashford's shot, that actually took a deflection as well, from one of our players. And then for having him to save that, it kept us in the game. I
Yep.
mean, I understand, he actually conceded that goal, which he possibly could have avoided, I mean, on any other day. But then, I mean, Ramsdale had, I mean, he wasn't at his worst, is what I can try and say.
Yeah, yeah,
He
definitely,
wasn't
definitely.
a Loris,
Yeah,
Loris
no, no,
had a
no.
pretty
But
poor
like
game.
Ramsdale is still quite young, right? So he'll only get better with this. So that's the plus
Totally.
point in having him with us right now, that he
Correct.
will get better. So hopefully, like there are some cons to him. No goalkeeper is perfect. Maybe Allison, you can say, but he also like makes some errors here and now and then. That happens with goalkeepers, because that's the kind of position it is. But hopefully he improves on his crosses and long corner stuff and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I
So
love his short passing. I love his distribution. I love the short stopping that he does, like crucial saves he makes. But yeah, there is some room for improvement here.
he definitely isn't afraid of the opposition pressing on him when he has the ball at his feet. So he's not worried about having to clear that. I've seen that nervousness in Leno.
Yeah.
Leno is very, as much as a good shot stopper that he was more than Ramsdale. He is very nervous when he has the ball at his feet, and he can't pretty much be a sweeper keeper sort of a guy. But
Hmm.
Ramsdale is very confident, even if he
Hmm.
has three United players closing on him during a time. He was able to clearly, pass it out in the gap, which is quite admirable as a goalkeeper. And I'm sure, he should be one of these top three goalkeepers, if not actually the top one,
Hmm.
in the league, definitely. So he is getting there. I mean, things like this can happen. It can
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
the other day. I felt probably it's more like, Tommy completely blocked him.
Yeah.
Tommy was the one who was
I
standing in
think
front
it was
of him.
more of a communication thing, because Tomiyasu hasn't playing much like regularly with us. So getting into that Tomiyasu topic as well, let's talk about some of the worst performances that we had. The one that stood out the most was Ben White. The first half was he's
Awful.
essentially like the most consistent player, the most if you had to say like who's the most consistent player, I will pick like Ben White, obviously, because if you had to pick the defense, it picks itself if anyone is not injured, right? Because Ben White has been a revelation in his right back role. But this game, something looked off. Like maybe he was ill, maybe he was not feeling well. I mean, something looked off from the start. What did you make of that Ben White performance?
See, I think just like as you said, right? One of the persons that I'll be putting first on the team sheet would be White. I think it goes without saying, although Tommy has been pretty good defensively and all those sort of things, Ben White has the blend. He can actually supplement Saka better. They can do sort of overlapping play each other, whenever they play. But that day, I don't know what happened. He was completely off. Right from the word go, there's been I can't really say any decent thing that he did there, and
Yeah,
it could happen to anyone as well.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
we spoke for Ramsdale.
Like
It
this is a squad, right? And some of these playing days, like people, like some players will have off days, right? And it was like Ben White off day. It can happen to anyone, right?
Yeah,
So, but we have to give props up to Tomiyasu, right? Because Tomiyasu is like came in like 2 seasons ago, I think it was. Yeah, two
mm,
seasons or 1 season ago, and he was like the main right back, and he then got injured and injured again, and now has been displaced by Ben White at right back. So it's like when he came in, he looked like he was rusty, right? Tomiyasu, when he came in, he struggled a bit against Rashford. But like after 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, you can say, Tomiyasu looked on point because he shut down that right hand side. And the only threat, in my opinion, was like Marcus Rashford. He was invisible the whole second half, in my opinion. So props up to Tomiyasu, even though he like didn't communicate it for that second goal for the United one. But I think he had a very solid game.
totally. I props up to Arteta first before that,
Yeah,
because he honed that thing, and he understood that where White was completely struggling, and he took him out at halftime.
he even had a
That
yellow card, right? If
yeah,
we went
that's
with even
definitely. But yeah,
even if we went with Ben White in the second half, there could be situation like, oh my God, he's on the second yellow card. And let's say if we didn't had Tomiyasu on the bench, we had someone, for example, let's say Cedric. Even though he's a good professional, he's not at the same caliber as you can say Ben
no,
White or Tomiyasu, right? In the terms of defending and playing the same style of football that Arteta wants. And in the crucial game at against United and against someone like Rashford, right? You can't like trust him and say you go on and you will say let's put on Ben White right here, or let's continue with
totally,
him.
totally,
And so
totally.
Tomiyasu has to take, and Ateta, even we have many of us have said that his substitution skills struggle, like the man management or
True.
the substitute, or he doesn't make substitutes very well, right? So here at halftime he made a crucial decision to bring on Ben White in place of Tomiyasu. So I think that was a little thing to
Bold.
notice, and very crucial thing to notice, that
It
Mikel
was
Arteta
very.
is slowly learning.
Yes, definitely. No, I mean, in our podcast as well, we've criticized Arteta quite a lot. That he's taken a lot of time in substituting, and that sometimes has negative impact on how we play, and how our formation is and all those sort of things. But then hats off to him, credit definitely to him for making the decision to take off White there, and that was actually the difference as well. Once Tommy came in, as he said, he took his time to settle down, and but then once after he settled down, he was completely comfortable. No matter whatever Rashford was trying to do, he was in complete control, and never even once that Rashford tried to get past him, or try to do something to create to be an attacking threat. So Tommy, we know the fact that he was just. I mean, between White and Tommy, we know the fact that Tommy is defensively more stable, and although White can actually do more of an attack, What we needed was actually a steal at the back, to stop Rashford, and it's the best thing.
Okay, so let's move on to now. We talked about the worst performance on the pitch for Arsenal. Let's talk about the one man that has, like, for the second game in running, has like made me really question what position is he exactly playing on the pitch, because I can't make the head or tails of it. It's obviously the player of the match, Alexander Zinchenko, however you may have to pronounce his name. This guy is not a left back. I'm pretty sure of it. This guy is performing everywhere. He's everywhere on the pitch. He's left back. He's left center midfielder. He's left winger. He's anything you want him to be. He's like even Gunners Block, like on his Ars Block podcast, said that he moves like a queen, right? He can move diagonally, he can move straight, he can move backwards, he can go anywhere he wants. So what's your take on this player?
See, I think I have a pretty close city podcaster who I talk with more regularly, and I immediately texted him. I tweeted him after the game, like, how did you guys manage to live Zini live? It's quite insane to even think about it. See, this heat map that you're sharing,
Yeah,
that's exactly how his presence was. He was everywhere. He was completely everywhere. And before the game, I was talking to a United podcast, and they were asking who could potentially be playing on the left. I said to them, if Arteta wants an attacking or an aggressive formation, he would go for Zinchenko any day, because Zinchenko offers something which nobody ever can. He offers versatility. He can actually slot in for midfield, so Xhaka can actually be a second striker, third striker, whatever. He can be on the front man of the pitch.
yeah,
He
yeah,
can be dropped deep down on the left flank, to completely take care of defense, or hold something if at all they're coming in for a counter attack. And then he is a goal threat. It's not like he just bombards on the flank. He can go in, and then he can even require. See, I can't. I mean, you really have to pick players who want to play for the shirt, right?
yeah,
That's how winning teams are made of. And Zini is one of those guys. He absolutely, look at this reaction, man.
yeah.
How can how what this is just a player who has just come in this season from a
Hmm.
rival Premier club, and for him to show that love, for him to show that commitment, when
Hmm.
especially when the goal was actually given, is quite different, man. I think we've landed ourselves, you know since the time of Ashley Cole. I have the same level of confidence with Zinchenko, and I don't think I'll be wrong here. um, yes, again, this is the thing, the difference between what we were and how we think to what he has gotten. It's
Hmm.
just not what he's showing on the pitch. He's just saying, lads, you can't just laugh about when talking about trophies. We just have to be going in for them. We just
I mean, this
absolutely.
this interview after the match, he said, I started to speak in the dressing room saying, guys, forget about top 3 or whatever, we need to think about the title. Some of them were laughing, even the teammates didn't believe, right, when the season started. And now he's saying, but no one is laughing now. So see the experience, so leadership that he brings to the team even, right? So like
Totally, buddy.
that's something that was like I saw some of the city what's that called, the all or nothing, right? And even there it showcased how important Zinchenko was to the city squad when he was not even playing or not even regular, right? So that's like really impressed me and showcased me a different side to him.
Totally, buddy. And he did his best as well. So even though Mudrik didn't end up coming here, himself and his wife, who's as well a journalist in Ukraine, they both did their best in trying to convince him to come here. And I mean, it's all Mudrik's loss at the end of the day that he didn't turn up here. But then he's being an ambassador on and off the pitch. He's just
Right.
showing these guys how a winning team should look like, how they should be behaving, like a winning team, and not just settle in for third or fourth. As an Arsenal fan, we might have actually seen, or we might be more satisfied with us finishing top four as a priority. But then he has changed the whole perspective in terms of how they approach things, and how the player shouldn't be giving up, going into any situations. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep. Totally agree with you. Uh, and I'm really glad that we have Zinchenko in the team and playing left back, because the way he's playing left back, I haven't seen any left back for the previous Arsenal teams ever play like this. And it's truly a way to learn more about how the game is played, and he's making us learn that this is the way. This is also a way that a certain player can have a certain impact on the team. Like, you can go to any team, right? Be it Barcelona or Real Madrid, and you will say like their central midfielders are having an impact, or a winger is having impact, or a striker is having impact, not a left back. So the impact he's having right now is quite essential for this team, and hopefully he doesn't get any more injuries right now, because he's really influential in the terms of how we are playing. But going on and shifting on towards like Zinchenko, on towards another player that I feel is on a low par is Gabriel Martinelli. I wanted to ask about him as well a little. Do you think, like, since he's come back from the World Cup, has he been the same player, or do you think it's a result of something like we are not playing with Gabriel Jesus at front, right? So whenever Gabriel Jesus played at front, and Martinelli played, so like they interchanged quite a lot. Like Jesus came out to the left wing, and Martinelli went into the forward, and even Granit Xhaka's goal has subsided. So do you think that's a result of that happening, or do you think like Martinelli right now is struggling?
No, no. Okay. Short answer is no. Martinelli is not struggling. It's just that the way that we play is making him look like he is sort of struggling. See,
Hmm.
if you look at our role formation, right? I mean, especially the fact that we just spoke about Zinchenko and multiple positions that he plays. The way it's happening is, if you look at a traditional left back like Ken Tierney, for example, Tierney
Yep.
would actually pass the ball to Martinelli, and Martinelli would actually be cutting in when Tierney overlaps. Now these days, what we are seeing, especially I mean, when I look back at the United game, so we I noticed that Shaka is trying to go intercept or overplay Martinelli in a wing formation. So it's effectively becoming like Martinelli is passing the ball to Xhaka on the wing. And what one of the attributes of Martinelli, which you can't actually take out, is the fact that he is not shy to actually go head to head with the opposition. He is comfortable taking the ball to them. He is comfortable dribbling the ball. He is totally okay with taking it on head on and then trying to find other players. And to his discredit, whatever, there are other attacking left side options, especially Xhaka and Zinchenko, who are actually taking his place, and then who's been able to do more than what he is trying to do at the moment. He's not been able to get some goals just because of how the team's formation and the shape changes during the course of a player, during the course of an attack. And that sort of is not putting him in a position where he can score, but his work rate hasn't come down. He's been there. He's been pushing for things every now and then. It's just that, I mean, there was as well a lean patch that we would have noticed with Saka. I think that's towards the start of the season or something like that, when Jesus and Martinelli were banging in goals, and Saka couldn't actually get into the score sheet as much
Hmm.
that game in time. it's just knocking on the doormat. I mean, I won't read too much into the fact that he's had a post World Cup hangover, and then he's completely lost his
Hmm.
focus on those sort of things. I see his
Hmm.
commitment. I see the way that he is actually playing. It's just a matter of time before he starts scoring again. And likewise, if you look at Arsenal, Arsenal are not a team like City are, where Haaland scored ridiculous number of goals, like 25 goals or something like that. We
Hmm.
always, I mean, especially when we don't have a clinical striker sort of a guy in the recent years, we've always distributed our goals among our forwards. And looking at that, or even our midfielders, including Odegaard, has been on the goals. So it's just that the distribution is slightly towards on the right hand side, if I were to tell you as fact. But then that's not something which is unusual for a club like Arsenal. It's just that it's completely fine. We shouldn't be overlooking at things, and we should definitely be sticking by Martinelli, and he would come out good. Totally.
Uh, I think Salem is waving both of us. Welcome to the channel, mate. Let us know what you think about Martinelli situation, and whether who's your man of the match as well. So let us know in the comments, and we'll pick on to that as well. And I wanted to share another thing with you. This is like Granit Xhaka numbers. If you read, like in the first half, even like he had the most passes in the final third. He created the most chances. He had the most used one. He made the most tackles. So like Granit Xhaka as well. Like uh, we as Arsenal fans have criticized him quite a bit, right? And this season, and even the last season, Granit Xhaka has been changing the minds of Arsenal fans, and I was like, I think it was last season or last to last season, right? We got that offer from Roma around 12 million pounds, and now I laugh at it that they were offering so ridiculous, and even now I won't even sell him for 30 million. Forget 12 million that they were offering. So I can't imagine how important Xhaka has been, and what's your take on Granit Xhaka's performances for us?
Yeah, so see, I was reading an article I mean, article from Albert Schweberg, who's our assistant coach to Arteta, and he actually had an assessment of every player last season, um, and the way that they've been playing and all those sort of things. One thing that he told about, I mean, he was quite pivotal behind Arteta or Arsenal sending out Oba in January last year, because Oba was trying to be true troublesome within the squad, and then that was actually causing a lot of division. So it's just a similar theory to one bad egg spoil the whole lot sort of a thing. So they found it and then they took it away. And on a similar assessment about Granit Xhaka, he was actually telling the fact that Granit actually has a wonderful skills, and if his temperament can be controlled on the pitch, we could work wonders with him. And
Yeah.
thankfully, Arteta took that piece of
And
advice.
even like a few months ago or weeks ago, I heard that even I think it was Arteta. He mentioned in a some interview that Xhaka, when he came back the next season, like they mentioned to him, Arteta said to him that I'm looking to shift you into that central advanced 8 number area, right? So what
He's,
I'm
he's been
doing,
he's been
that
given the
I'm
green light now.
yeah. So he was saying like I'm going to take you out, like because we want someone to score us goal and win us matches by playing in the advanced region. And he said to him, I challenge you, right? And you have to work on these uh, particular areas, right? And provide us the necessary thing required, right? And he said that when he came back, he was more fitter, he was more silkier and more lighter in terms of his fitness, and that thing really surprised me that I hadn't noticed much, and that thing has not translated into his performances as well. So he's been an essential cog to the team, and whenever he's not playing for us, you can clearly see the difference that he makes. And I think
And,
we are
and,
still
and
looking
granted,
for.
and the granted this year is not the same as what Arsenal fans have seen in the past, right? This guy doesn't lose his head.
Hmm.
Even in the worst of the situations, he just remains calm. And I'm just simply touching wood as we speak. So he actually maintains his calmness on the pitch, doesn't get carded as much. He knows what his position is, and then thanks to the presence of Partey there, and Odegaard as well, Zinchenko, as we mentioned, they are able to cover Xhaka well enough that if he is able to wander onto the top of the pitch, they are happy to sit back and then try and hold up the play or hold up the midfield.
Talking about Martin Odegaard, did you see that ridiculous pass that he made for Xhaka, like the double elastico? I don't know what to call that pass even. Like if you guys can see the GIF on Twitter or something like that, it's absolutely ridiculous. Go and watch it. Like I have watched it 100 times now, and I can still believe that he pulled it off in a real match. So it showcased the confidence Odegaard has right now. And even Thomas Partey, like he didn't have the best of his games in my opinion, but still he was quite essential in terms of in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah. So
helping us. Yeah.
yeah, so Partey definitely, as you said, he was guilty of giving the ball away to Rashford as part of the first goal. But definitely, he actually made up for it in the second half, and it was sort of a different Partey that we saw. The one who actually played against Tottenham at the Hotspur Stadium. So that was actually how Partey actually learned or corrected his mistakes to perform much better in the second one. Definitely, I think he for the work that he did, or for the turnaround that he did, that requires a lot of praise.
And even the recovery run that he made for the
Oh man.
Anthony, that was, I was like, are you okay, bro? Like, your is your hamstring okay? Please be okay. But that run was like, man, he can run, he can sprint. I was like surprised by seeing him how fast he was running. But that was ridiculous, pace that he showcased. And again you can see how much we miss him once when he is not playing in that number 6 role, right? So this again showcased how important he is to the team. But last but not the least, I do want to talk about him because he came on late on the new signing, Leandro Trossard. He made his debut the last I think it was 10 minutes or somewhat close by that. But I was really impressed by him. Like he brought that composure, that calmness, and he was also very influential in that third goal that we scored. Right, the he made the pre-assist, as you can say, kind of like he shifted the ball towards Zinchenko, and he showcased that lovely touches in the opposition box. Some of the Arsenal, many of the Arsenal fans were like growing crazy about Mudryk, like showing that crazy touch of skill and feet when Chelsea were playing previous night as well on the weekend. So like Trossard is not Modric, right? He's not like some explosive 1v1 winger. But I think Arsenal fans are belittling or not making much of Trossard. I think he's going to be a really good fit for Arsenal. What do you make of his cameo, and what do you think about the signing?
See, Trossard is a big game player. We spoke about with our friends at Brighton's Albion Obsessed podcast, and then we did a special section on him as well. So with Trossard, right, he shows up himself on big games, and just like how you mentioned, he's not similar to Mudryk in a way that he can't actually just be on one side sort of a thing. He can play on multiple positions, which is definitely a plus when it comes to what Arsenal want in a player, because we don't want someone who can just play on one side and be a complete nonsense on the other side. If I were to give an example in the recent times, that would be Pepe. But then, coming back to this game, this mini cameo that he had, it was actually a perfect reception. It was a way that he was able to get himself introduced, get into the style of we play against an important opposition. And then you look at the video. If you go back again to that video, Zinchenko would actually be talking to him before he came onto the pitch to say, "Buddy,
Yeah,
there's still a game in our hands. Just don't
yeah.
let it go." just try and do the best that you can. Come on, let's try and score. That's the sort of attitude that, sort of Zinchenko instilled into him, and he was able to immediately make an impact.
Yeah.
Uh,
There is a
especially,
slight combination I wanted to showcase our viewers. Like this is the goal. Let's talk about the goal, the third goal that we scored, the Nketiah third goal. That was the crucial 90th minute goal. I wanted to celebrate it so much, like I was gonna like scream, and but it was like late night for me, and I was like going crazy. I was ready to scream around because it was so crucial. And then the VAR check happened. I was like, oh shit, no, here we go. This is going to be offside. And then it was the goal was given. I was like, ah. And again, let's do the song because Nketiah was in the room to finish off the chance for us. And, that was a brilliant goal to, flick off that chance. And this game essentially was all our Hale End players showing up and doing the business for us. Hale End 3, Man United 2. So essentially, that was the score line.
yes, Hale and Man United one is what you can say, because that was,
Yeah.
to be fair, that was Rashford's goal can be given as the United Academy Carrington that they have. So,
Hmm.
so yes, so that credit to them. But then, I mean, it's quite important that we know we are not buying superstars, and then we are not just putting them in and getting the results. These are our homegrown players. These are players who've been with us since the days of academy, since the days, and they know how much it means to score. They know how much it is to actually win games for their club. It's so good. When as well, if you just go back to the press conference that the boys gave, Eddie and Saka, they were both asked a question, what has actually changed. um,
Hmm.
uh, they said they could keep talking about it for days. That's
Yeah.
the sort of things which has changed. There's so much change. Even Fabregas, who actually was actually commentating about the game, he
Yeah. Yeah.
went to the training ground. He was so impressed with the way things have actually changed. It's completely different to the days that he actually played there, for Arsenal, and how it has actually turned out to be now. So that's the sort of the work which is being done in the back, and similar thing is being shown in our results as well. With every game, every goal, everything that we achieve, there is actually a growing confidence that this team is fighting on all fronts, and we are not willing to let our guard down for whatever reason.
Yeah. So I just want this to uh, hear. I also want you to hear this. This was like Peter Dury after the match ended, right? And I want all the rest of the viewers to hear exactly how he described it. I absolutely loved the way he talks about the match, and this is what he spoke.
You wonder, truly you wonder, just how much that means. This could be defining. Boy, that matters. How much one little touch from Eddie Nketiah matters. And look at the margin at the top now. Arsenal hit 50 at halfway. 5 points clear of City again. And with a game to spare. Mikel Arteta's dream.
So just listening to that, and it just brings goosebumps to you, like listening to Peter Dury speak about the match. And as he said, like we are halfway done and we are at 50 points, 5 points clear of Man City with a game in hand. That's like absolutely, if you said to me at like during the beginning of the season, this was what would be going on during, half the season has gone and this was the result, I would like bite off Finney's hand and I would like, you're telling lies, I wouldn't believe you.
Totally, totally.
But anyways, that was like Peter Dury, and that was like magical. I hopefully you guys can rewatch that in something or somewhere if you wanted to. But let's get on to some player ratings, and we'll start off with the goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale. So what would we give Aaron Ramsdale?
6 out of 10.
Okay, why six and not seven? Much because of
Possibly.
his mistake.
Okay, see, okay, even to the best player, I would possibly give an 8.5 on the
Hmm.
pitch. So that's pretty much how I do. Yeah, I mean, he made a couple of pretty good saves that
Hmm.
kept us in the game.
Hmm.
You could still give a 7 for just alone that, but then if you look back at it, perhaps if he had not actually
Hmm.
conceded the goal, we could have I don't know, maybe we could have even scored more, and that result could have been even stumping, like 3-1 or something like that. So
Hmm. No, I
just
agree with you. With you, 6 or 6.5, somewhere around that. That
yeah,
would
yeah.
be
I don't want to be
more
too
than.
harsh on
Hmm.
him. It's not like he did like wrong
Like
completely.
as you said, like your topmost is 8.5. So going with that direction, I think 6 to 6.5 is quite actually fair. So yeah, I would agree with you. Let's go on to Ben White. I think we both can agree he was the not the best player on the pitch today, and 4 or 4.5 for him,
Yeah,
Ben White today.
possibly.
Yeah,
Nothing that he did worked in his favor. So
yeah.
possibly that's one thing that we can say.
Yeah. Uh, let's get on to William Saliba. I don't think he made any mistakes. He was good with his defending. He covered well with with Rashford and stuff. And I think he deserves another 7 or 6.5 around that.
Yeah, 6.5 should be decent. He didn't do anything wrong. Both the goals that were scored was not his fault. So yeah, I mean, with whatever that he could, he did the distribution and everything. Okay, so maybe
Hmm.
just a 6.5. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's get on to his partner Gabriel Magalhaes. Another 6.5 to 7. I think will be fair enough for him as well.
Yeah, so one thing that perhaps I thought he could have done is when Rashford was actually coming in, he had players behind him, so he could have actually gone on or closed down even before he waited for Rashford to actually hit the shot, and he gave him the space and time. I
Yeah.
mean, although it was Partey who actually let the ball go, I mean, Mahrez was slightly at fault of not being, closing down Rashford. But then, apart from that, every other thing that he did, he didn't do anything wrong. One thing I have to say that both Saliba and Gabriel had both been carrying 4 yellows, and if they had both been carded, they would have
Yeah.
been suspended for the Everton game. Thankfully, that didn't happen. They both didn't get into the disciplinary side of things. So, yeah, that's one advantage.
Yeah. So let's get on to our man of the match. I hope that's the case for you as well. Oleg Zinchenko, I think he gets the 8.5.
Oh, totally. I think
Yeah.
he was everywhere, right? He has hand in both two goals that we scored.
Yeah.
So he was a constant threat. And with all the talks of, Anthony and all these sort of things, he was completely being nullified. Ancient bit of whatever that Zinchenko was. Yeah, totally. I think 8.5 is the least that we could give him.
Yep. Let's get on to Granit Xhaka. I think he also was a constant, as I said, even in his, you can say, stats as well. In the first half, he was the guy that was, making the chances and be the threat as well. So I think he deserves at least a 7,
7.5.
6.5 to 7. Yeah.
7.5 is what I can think of. He did much
Yeah.
more than what was expecting. Yeah.
Yeah. Thomas Partey again, not one of his best of games, but defensively he was strong. He was good with his passing at times. Uh, but I again would go with 6 or 6.5 around that.
6.5. Yeah. So he made amends in the second half, as we said.
Yeah,
So 6.5 is not a bad thing. Yes.
yeah. Bukayo Saka, I think 7.5 to 8 because of the second goal that he scored, and that was brilliant. For alone that, I would give him 7.5 to 8.
He was Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw
Luke
was roasted every time. He was scared, man. He was scared of him.
See, that's what. So Luke Shaw felt like, he had his best game when he was playing as a centre half, and he was, saying in few press conferences that he could be doing better once he gets into his natural spot of a left back. And what did he get? Playing against Saka was not easy. In the end, he got frustrated. He sort of clipped him to get an yellow card as well. So Luke Shaw had a horrible time, and the way that Saka played, I would give him an 8. I mean, just for the second goal, and as well the fact that he could have almost scored another one in a similar
Yeah.
fashion.
Okay, let's get on to Martin Odegaard. I think this wasn't as Martin Odegaard game, but he was still influential in the terms of build up and passing, and uh, I think he was okay. But I will give him 6.5 to 7 in this game
Yeah,
as well.
I agree with you. I mean, although you could see some moments of him doing that, the pass to Shaka, as we said, was pretty good, top notch. He has the eye for who to find or how to actually pass. He doesn't shy away from when he's being surrounded by 5 or 6 players from the opposition box. So quite comfortable, solid game. Yeah, so 6.5 to 7 is what I can think of.
Yeah. Let's get on to Gabriel Martinelli. In my terms, as you said, like we don't have to worry, but it wasn't the best of his performances, given he was against, Aaron Bissaka, one of the best Premier League one-on-one defender. Even though he was switched off for the first goal that led us to equalize, but I think 5.5 or 6 for him. I think he was the second worst player for Arsenal in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
This game.
Six is what I can think of. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to hear you sing the chant now. Like your defense is in trouble, and Katie in the room. So how much? First, you have to sing the song. So that's how you can give the rating for him.
I'm pretty poor when it comes to singing, but then,
But
uh,
anyway, what do you give for Nketiah?
totally 8.5, buddy. Because I mean,
8.5. Yeah.
although I mean, he scored the goals, it was completely poacher's finishes.
Yeah.
He knew exactly how to move, where to move, when to raise, when to hit, when to. He was unlucky not to have scored that.
Score a hat trick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, De Gea somehow stopped his shot from going in. So that was actually the only downside. He didn't do anything really wrong. He was a constant menace, and nobody could do anything about his goal as well.
I'm really happy with that because the last time we did a Tottenham Arsenal preview, so I said to the other podcasters, like the other Arsenal fans that were there to do the preview, uh, I said really wanted badly that Eddie and Nketiah be the first one to score the first goal, right? For us to make that difference. And here today was the day that he showcased his and showcased that he has arrived. Because he got that number 14 jersey, and there was a lot of clamoring from the fans that he doesn't deserve that jersey and doesn't deserve that number. But today he showed that like there is still a long way to go for to make a statement for that jersey. But today's game and his performances for the last whenever he's come on for Jesus, even like fans and many of the journalists and media was like against him, right?
Yeah,
Saying that he won't be, how will we cope up with the injury of Jesus, and how he will replace him. But he has made that sentence and made that whole thing not issue, like by scoring goals and by being the best Eddie and Ketia that he can be. He's not trying to be Gabriel Jesus because he can't be, because not anyone in our squad can be a Gabriel Jesus, right? So he's being Eddie and Ketia the way he best can be.
totally. I think he's not put one foot wrong, and to take all his chances, especially the amount of pressure and the criticism that he receives to, if he actually fluffs up any chance, and to keep going every game and then scoring goals is not easy. You're talking
Yeah.
about the Premier League here, so it's not actually just a Sunday football where he can just turn up and then try and score something.
Hmm.
I'm totally delighted for the confidence that the manager has actually shown him in, and as well as the fact that Nketiah has repaid that faith in the manager.
And if you guys still haven't heard the chant, make sure to go to the Twitters and social medias and hear it, because it will get stuck in your head, and you will hear it on repeat every now and then, because it's a banger as we say it. And yeah, and Ketia is in the room, and I hope he continues this vein of form. But continuing with the subs, Tomiyasu, who came in early in the first half, in the half time, I think he deserves, as we discussed it, a prop. So for him rating, I will rate him around 7, because he came in, he's been rusty, but he proved a point today.
Totally, I agree with you. He was very much the steel required behind for us, and quick thinking by the manager meant that he was able to showcase his skills for 45 minutes. So yeah, 7, solid 7.
And lastly, our new signing, Leandro Trossard, we discussed about him that he's going to be a very good pickup for us. And he did came on for just 10 minutes or so. So we'll we push the brakes a little bit, but like 6 or 6.5 is still good, because he was silky. He actually reminded me of Santi Cazorla in a weird way. Like, not even the number wise, like when he came, the kind of touches he did, the close control, the dribbling type of a thing, it reminded me a bit of a Santi Cazorla type of a player, because of his height as well. But what's your rating for him? I would give him a 6 right now.
Yeah, 6. I think within the time that he was more than an influence. He definitely had a hand in
The
in the
third goal.
goal. So totally happy for him.
And in the future, I can definitely see him being shifted into the central midfield area, same as Kazola. Like, let's see if that happens or not. But that's my inkling, or something that can happen in the future. Let's see if it comes true. But uh, so we'll just end the stream by talking about the new signing that has been confirmed. That's Jakub Kivior.
He's called Jakub Kivior.
Yeah, here's, I struggle with pronunciations, but here's Bob helping me out. Jakub Hivio, as he call him.
Jakub.
So
Jakub.
he's a
Polish
Jakub.
name. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Jakub. So no J in it. It's Jakub Hivio. He's a Polish center back from Spezia, and he's 22 years old. Yeah,
Yes.
22 years old. He's a left center back. And what do you make of his signing? And uh,
Very
what do you
smart
think?
side. I mean, I nobody knew him. To be
Yeah,
fair, I mean, if people were to be saying that they have been following him all along, that would be completely a lie. But
yeah.
I think Arteta has been following him for quite a while. From what we are reading through, he's been getting watched quite a lot of times. More importantly, we needed a left-footed centre half, someone who can
Hmm.
actually fill in for Gabriel, especially the fact that we are getting into the thick of the fixtures with the Europa League and possibly FA Cup and all those sort of things. So we needed someone who can actually come in. Um, in terms of what he is good and bad at, potentially the many things that he is good at is he doesn't actually shy away from going into tackles, or he doesn't. It's sort of a similar trait to what Vermaelen had,
Hmm.
having from for a similar position. But then a few of the things that he needs to be working on is the fact that he's somewhat, he makes mistakes.
Hmm.
Although he owns up the mistakes, but still he does make mistakes. So which he has to be improving on, because there is not much room for error within the Premier League. So he has to be on top of his game.
Well, at least he has a good name with one of the good fruits that we have in kiwi. So that's quite similar to that. But
Kiwi
I
is
hope.
his nickname. So if fans want to call him, Kiwi would be the name.
Oh, so he actually likes to be called that. So I thought that he hopefully he wouldn't mind be calling that, but that's good to know that he likes to be called Kiwi. So we'll call him Kiwi, and hopefully the fans can come up with a chant soon, and he can succeed at Arsenal wearing the number 15 shirt. So it's been announced, and hopefully we get to see him against Man City, or is that too soon for him?
He would be there. He can be picked up, but I'm not sure if he would be in the squad. It would be interesting to see how Arteta is going to look at the FA Cup now. Um, because of the fact that we've got City to play twice, two more, and then possibly Anfield away and Newcastle away. If I were to just look at the top four and say so. I'm not sure if Arteta is going to be going all guns blazing for all the trophies, or he's just going to sit back.
I
And
think the first preference now that we are at the halfway mark should be the Premier League first, because this chance won't come again any time again. In my opinion, the place that we are right now, in terms of like we have only one game in hand and we are 5 points top of the Man City. So like first priority for me will be the Premier League and then the Europa League. So after that, anything is third and fourth. So I hope you agree with that.
totally, I think that's how it should be. But then Arteta is someone uh,
Yeah,
from what we've seen so far. He doesn't want to give up in beat
but I
fight.
hopefully we find a classy way to go out. Like we don't like concede too many goals. Like 2-1 or 3-1 or something like that would be more than okay with me, because like it's Man City away and we don't want to waste too much energy and too much show our hand to Pep and them guys. And
Yeah, yeah,
like I won't be heartbroken if we get bowed right now against Man City, because we have much greater things to focus on. And yeah,
totally.
because we are right now we are like the most FA Cup winners of all time. So it doesn't really matter if we lose this one and go out right now, because that won't change that. But because it's been so long since we have been Premier League trophy, and I really want to see us lifting that. So
Yeah.
do whatever you want, man. Just bring that trophy, man. That's the only thing that matters to me right now. But thank you for being here, Bob, and thank you for taking time. I know it's very late at Sydney. I guess it's like 11 or 12, something like that.
Body. So it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, but I took so much of time. But guys, make sure you guys follow the Away Gunners. The link is in the description, and you guys can go to their channel and subscribe. They are a great bunch of guys, tactically good discussions going around. And make sure to follow them on Twitter as well at the Away Gunners. Is it right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the at the Away Gunners. So you guys can follow them on Twitter, on their YouTube channel. The link is below. Make sure to subscribe, give them like, watch their videos, and support them as well. And thank you, Bob, for being here. And yeah,
Sorry, buddy. I played the celebration music too soon. So yeah, that's probably a whole celebration music that I'm waiting for to play. When we go on to lift the trophy, but then that's still halfway through.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no. Thank you very much for letting me on to the show and talking about the match. It was so great. I mean, I just have the same amount of enthusiasm as much as what I had whilst watching the game or even after that. So there's still a lot of such moments waiting to be enjoyed for this season. This is a special season, of course, and we have to be backing the team as much as what we can. And likewise, as what Dushan mentioned, follow. Let's talk Arsenal. If you have not actually done that so far, we'll do all our promos. As a fellow content creator, I know how important it is for the subscribers to go and then for our contents to reach. I mean, we thrive on those things in feedbacks and all those sort of things that we receive to make our shows more interesting, better, and try and keep improving. So definitely appreciate you following all of us there, and then helping your part along the way. So thank you once again, Dushyant, for bringing me in, and I can't actually wait to come in for any other shows that you may organize for the future.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. The away winners, be it you, Bob, and or the rest of the guys that are associated with the away winners, are always welcome at Let's Talk Arsenal. So, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's live show about our win against our old rivals, Manchester United, 3-2, and as the thumbnail suggests, Nketiah in the room, Nketiah arriving on the scene. And make sure if you enjoyed to drop a like, subscribe to the channel Let's Talk Arsenal, and you guys can follow me on Twitter at Dushyant AFC. So give me a follow there, and give away Gunners a follow it on Twitter as well. So guys, I'll see you at the next live show. Mostly we will be talking Manchester City away. Is after the transfer window ends or before it ends?
No, I think it's before. The game is on, I mean, Friday night. So which means that the transfer window would still be open at the time.
Okay, so before we end the show, I just want to ask how many more signings do you think do you want to happen, and how many do you think will happen?
Okay, I think one of those which we may likely get a result on is for a player called Ivan Fresneda. So
Hmm.
he's a young right back who is just 18 years of age, playing for a team called the Real Valladolid in Spain. So I mean, at 18 years of age, he's quite young, but then he's clocked the most number of minutes. I think the fourth most number of minutes played on the pitch, despite his age. So, which means that he's quite an important player for them. But just that, Valladolid are in deep financial distress, and they are in sort of relegation mix as well, and they would want to cash it out on him. There is possibly Arsenal and Dortmund who are
Yeah.
strongly in the race, and they want to both close off the deal, but then they both match the prices, is what I last read.
Hmm.
And it's mostly depending upon who he chooses to, rather than who we want. So I
Yeah.
mean, in case that it's more looking more promising is what I'm reading about, but then there's still somewhere to go. We know how these deals have actually ended with Mudrik and Rafina and
Yeah.
all those sort of things in the past, so we don't want to actually put too much hopes on. That might as well that might as well have a bearing in terms of what's going to happen with Cedric, because obviously Cedric is wanted at Fulham, and I'm not sure if in case Cedric's move would go ahead, should Fresneda's move fail or something. So that's something which we will wait and find out, to see what's happening. But Fresneda is one. Personally, for me, I would really want a cover for Thomas Partey.
Thomas
I,
Partey.
I I thought,
Like recently, there has been news that we are seeing Weston McKennie from
yeah,
Juventus. There has
McKennie,
been links
yes,
for that, and recently there has been links for Andre Onana as well from Everton as well. So these are the two guys that we have been recently linked, and links to Moises Caicedo as well, who Chelsea have been rumored to be bidding for, and so it's all happening. And obviously, our numbers one summer target is Declan Rice, as most of Arsenal fans already know about that. So, would you rather wait for Declan Rice or get someone in right now?
yeah. So I think, if at all we can get a short-term option sort of a thing. I
Mm.
mean, if you look at Trossard,
I
right, for
mean,
example.
there are some rumors about Arsenal fans, even me, linking Kamavinga to Arsenal. Yeah, that stuff isn't happening, but I would love to for that to happen. But no, that's not happening.
No, Kamavinga, I don't know why that came in. I think it's more PR stuff, I believe. So that's
No,
how
no,
it.
it was I saw a thing story that like the Carlo Ancelotti was like isn't playing him too much and like substituted him the most amount of times, and like his agent and the player are like not happy with his situation, and like so there is where the rumors come in from, because he's a Arsenal fan. He has been an Arsenal fan from the beginning, like all the French players are, most of them. And so like he used to support he supported Arsenal since childhood, and There was links before he moved to Real Madrid as well, but no, I don't see it happening because of how short their midfield is, and you know they have like Cruz and Modric. Even though they are brilliant, their legs get tired, and there is no way they are sending Kamavinga to us right now.
Yeah. See, Onana, if at all we want to use Everton's plight to take him, I mean, he is 21 years old.
Hmm.
Up to Onana. I mean, I've not seen him much, but then from one game that I really watched, that was actually the Merseyside derby. He was immense.
Like
And
technically, he doesn't looks like an Arsenal player in whenever I see him, but in terms of pace and power and the physical traits, he looks like a beast that can fit into that advanced number 8 role that Xhaka is playing right now. So he can fit into that role quite well, but that would mean that Lukonga has to go because like his move to Arsenal hasn't worked out, so maybe we loan him out or sell him, uh, because like they both are Belgium, and it would be look some really troublesome. Like we bring in one Belgium and we are not playing the other Belgian, but so hopefully
yeah,
that.
we let's see. The last few days of the window is going to be quite interesting because we don't know
Yeah.
who's going to turn up from Juventus suddenly. But then we'll wait to see
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
happening as well. So and then possibly we'll discuss about that. If at all time permits, we'll have a show to talk
Yeah,
about.
maybe a transfer deadline show like before the transfer window shorts.
Yeah,
We'll do a live show. So guys, make sure to press the notification bell and stay tuned because I'll be trying to do once a week show, the best that I can, and hopefully we'll get Bob on or someone else from the Way Gunners will be here during that deadline show, and we'll discuss more about that. But yeah, guys, that's it for today. I have extended his time a bit more, and I'll let him go and take his rest and sleep
all
and
good,
all
buddy.
that.
All good,
But
all good.
thank you for again, and guys, make sure to subscribe to their channel. The link is in the description below. You guys can check it out and follow them on Twitter as well at the Veganus. So that's it for today, and we'll see you at the next game with Arsenal 10, Man City nil.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. See ya.